You said it all. You said a lot of.
Well, there are other points, Derek.
There are.
You could make them if you wanted to.
What other points? What other points should I make?
Well, you could talk about sharing the spotlight and how important that is to. No, okay, you don't want to do that one. Okay, you could talk about not being that guy.
That's not bad.
No, yeah, that's a good one. Do you want to talk about that one?
No.
Okay.
What makes a great player? What is your player advice?
When another player at the table is doing their thing and they're gonna come up with an idea spontaneously, right there, they're gonna throw you a curveball. And you might have had a thought of like, oh, well, my character's gonna do this and the scene might go this way. And then, somebody else at the table will do something. Don't like balk at it and be like, well, that's not what I had in my mind. I'm not gonna do that. And I'm gonna say, no, I'm gonna keep doing what I wanna do. Yeah. It's the yes and of being like, oh, well, now there's this new cool thing that has just been thrown at me. Let me continue to role play with this individual because they're a real person just like I'm a real person in this world. And let's make it real and believable. And what would happen just like any other interaction with other humans on Earth, right?
I think really like at its core, that's the key, right? Is that at the end of the day, you're all trying to accomplish something cool and fun together. And the more you row in the same direction and the more you operate together, the easier it will be to like sit down at a table, play with just whomever, right? Like some of our most fun sessions have been in like random groups at a time where we're just laughing, sitting down, having an absolute blast, playing with people who are just doing all sorts of stuff, and you just keep it rolling, and that's like that's key.
I think a lot of the same things that make a great GM make a great player. You have to be willing to fail at the table. I was talking to the guys about this recently because we're playing our Uprootorama campaign, and Mace, in our most recent Uprootorama, changed his character, changed his voice a little bit. And people in our chat were like, wait, is his voice changed? Is this different? A lot of people, even in an unaired session, would be afraid to do that because, oh, well, I started off the first session like this, and even though it wasn't what I wanted, and
I'm locked in.
Yeah, I'm locked in and I have to do it. Be willing to be malleable, be willing to change. We constantly talk about the yes and. Be willing to say not only yes to your GM when they're doing something, but yes to the player next to you.
A great player is someone who gets excited when their party members get to do cool things. And you don't define your fun about what your character did. The worst player, granted there's no wrong fun when you're playing tabletop games.
No wrong fun?
There's no wrong fun, but I think the closest you can get is when you only have fun when you get to do something cool. You should get to do cool things. You should try to do cool things. But if someone who's better suited to do the investigation, if they're more of a detective character and you're the barbarian, if you just jump in and say, I also want to make the investigation check. I also want to do that. Can I do that too? Can I do that too? You're trying to insert yourself in every single encounter and every single character moment. That to me is not a great player. A player who's a great player is someone who encourages and gets excited when their friends and their party members get to do the cool thing and play their character. I think about it in terms of, I've relatively recently gotten into Magic the Gathering Commander, of where when it comes to having fun, it's less about winning or losing, it's did my deck do the thing? And if my deck did the thing, I don't really care if I win or lose, I'm having a good time. You should also be excited about your character gets to do their thing, and get excited when your friends and your party members get to do their thing too, and that's what makes a good player.
I think a great player has grace, both for their fellow player and for the GM, especially for the GM. I think it's easy to get so wrapped up in the narrative and the world and just how immersive TTRPGs can be that if you're a little confused about where to go, or a player's getting more spotlight than another, I think it's easy to sort of vent or feel this way where you almost feel slighted by the GM or slighted by the other players of, well, they're not giving me enough guidance, or they're putting too much spotlight on Jimothy, or they didn't give me enough magical items, or the magic item that I got was worse than what Jimothy got, right? So I think that All of that can be solved by communication. And so the second thing is a great player has open communication both with the GM and with their fellow players. And I think that the sooner that you have the communication, the sooner you gain alignment, everybody gets on the same page, and alignment is critical and mandatory for an amazing game of Dungeons and Dragons.
About the importance of knowing who your character is and maybe the character creation process. Do you think you want to do that one?
That's close. That's close. Well, that jiggled a lot.
I'm leaving all that in.
Good. That's what we're sitting here. You have our consent. Go on the adventure. A good player goes on the adventure. It's not just as simple as saying go on the adventure hook, right? That is a little more gamified than I mean. I mean sharing the spotlight, telling a collaborative story, and rowing in the same direction as all the other players as the GM wants you to go in is a game of yes and, but it also can be no but, as long as you're all on the same consistent page of telling the same sort of theme. That ability to say, yes, I want to go on the adventure, I think is in the heart of every great player.
You know, once again, it's what I said about being a good GM, and it's taking the ego out of it. Take the ego out of being a character. And so once you can remove yourself from that character and let that character live in the world for a while, and it's a perfect opportunity to just take a step out of your life for a bit and de-stress. You don't have to be you. You don't have to make choices, because your character can do that in a positive way. And if my character screws something up, like, that's not on Nikki. That's on Pixel.
Oh, I
like,
love to fail.
You know,
I love to fall down.
That's such a great one.
I
Derek, would you
love
like
to
to
fall-
talk about that one? The positives of failing. Would you like to talk about that one?
No, I don't.
Are you sure?
I mean, you were already on a roll. I'm happy to let you have it.
I think that you should do this, Derek. I really believe in you.
I think that everyone when I say everyone, let me back up. I think that there is an easy pitfall to make when you're a beginner player, and the path towards greatness is not, I'm going to be this super amazing, succeeds at everything, I'm the most experienced, the most skilled assassin, or whatever your fantasy is. I highly recommend starting way down here and working up to that, or never getting there in the entire story. You're going to picture, I'm going to be this crazy cool cowboy character, and he always hits his mark, and then you're going to roll a natural one, and then what are you going to do? No. It's highly recommended, and I think all great players learn to embrace this, that you have to know what you look like in the shoes of your character when they're at their best and at their worst.
And finding a way to fail upward. You know, just because you miss that roll does not mean that you're closing all of the doors. Utilize that failure to open other doors and other avenues and other opportunities. Some of the best moments that we've had on our streams are moments that were born from failures, from our characters not doing what they were supposed to do, and then being like, well, what do we do with this, and how do we move forward? And that once again goes into the collaboration process, where you see one person fail and you don't go, oh, Derek failed, that sucks. Well, I'm gonna go over here and do this thing because I'm not gonna fail. You say, okay, Derek failed. How can we all rally around this character and turn this into something narratively that's fun? And this goes along with the GM too. The GM sees the failure and they don't say, oh, I'm gonna punish you for that and I'm going to make you feel bad, but it's like, how can we make this funny, or how can we make this narratively emotional? How can we make this important? And I think that's just important across the board for players and GMs.
I'll make one last comment about players, which is that you'll notice that we didn't say be able to do an accent. We didn't even say anything about heavy role play or physicalization or anything. We love that at our table, but the qualities we described are agnostic to those skills, and people can get better at those. They're muscles you can work out. But if that's not the game for you and you want to play Dungeons and Dragons the way you play perhaps a board game, I still think that the qualities that Nikki and I just described are as true there.